And we are finally back, and the intermission screen is not on the right screen. Off to a great start. Anyway,
Uh-oh.
yeah, we're finally back after, according to Storm's analytics, it's like a month and like a couple of weeks is the last, and that's just from going live or the last time we posted an announcement. Um, so yeah, it's been a while, and I feel like we're a little off schedule, but we're probably just for this introduction just going to be talking about our schedules and stuff like that. And so I mean, if you actually want to just get straight into the philosophy, just you could probably just skip ahead of this. It's not going to be mostly important, but for the past couple of weeks, like I've been doing camps and vacation, and like we've both been like busy on the weekends, like every single weekend. Like this is the first free weekend I've had all summer, which is kind of crazy because like school starts in like 3 weeks for me, like 4 weeks or something like that. So
Funny
yeah,
enough, this is not even a free weekend for me. So I'm
yeah,
still busy today. We just decided to do the podcast today.
yeah. But yeah, no,
But
we're back for a day.
yeah, for a day.
Yeah,
Um yeah, we have, like Zenith said, we have both been extremely busy. I've been dealing with band stuff, and then, of course, friends have been inviting me places. I've either tried working or, just certain things. Been out of the house a lot. And so today was really the first time in almost a month where we were like, okay, I feel like we'll actually have the time to do it.
yeah, yeah,
But unfortunately, after this point, it'll most likely be next month when you'll see maybe even a glimpse of another podcast, because I
yeah.
have a vacation I'm going on next weekend, and then the 2 weeks after that, I've got band camp, and that is from like 8 in the morning, 6 or 8 in the morning to sometime before the sun is just completely down.
Oh no, it's playing some random Twitch audio. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted.
If we do, it's whatever.
It's
But
whatever.
it's whatever. Um, but I'm gonna be doing that, and quite frankly, from being out all week long, every day for multiple hours, I'm not gonna want to do much. So unfortunately, I probably will not be doing that. But on the flip side, hopefully once school starts, we should be maybe back on a good schedule. I will be doing marching band almost every day, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and then that Saturday for competitions. And then I might also try to fit a job in between the days that I don't have marching band. Bad idea, I know, but I really want money, so go figure.
Yeah, everyone loves money
Of course, of
until they don't.
course.
But
Until you have too much or you just don't
there's
need
no such thing
anything.
as too much money, Storm.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just like lend some over, maybe.
Yeah, I've gotten about
I
a
don't
thousand
need it, but
dollars.
I want to mine some.
Yeah, I've gotten about $1,000 from Zenith. I've just
Oh yeah,
been
yeah,
sitting over here,
definitely.
but
Pile of
but
cash.
pile of cash. And she just mails it to me in a box.
Yeah, that's our revenue from the podcast.
Yep, all we've gotten over $14,000.
Yep.
And thank you guys for all that money.
What is
I'm
April?
kidding. We have not made a single dime from this podcast, besides the stuff that I'll find outside after recording. But
Please, address is in the link in the description. So
PO boxes, please, PayPal's.
PayPal's, yeah. But yeah, anyway, I feel like that's really enough of a wrap up. I don't think we need to be sitting here talking about our lives for the next hour. But
Unless you want to talk about schedulings of like what we might do,
oh,
perhaps.
I feel like we're not in the area to do that. I know we said we're like, oh, we're gonna do all these specials, but like,
Not yet. We'll wait until school starts.
Yeah, we'll wait until we get back on a schedule. Period.
And I can say confidently though that once Christmas hits, by Christmas, I will most likely be free.
Yeah.
Besides the job, which
By
even
Christmas,
then,
that's a while, man.
I mean, yeah, but you'd be surprised. That's only what, like 4 months away.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4. I'm pretty sure. Once next month hits, it's about 4 months.
So 5 months, because it just turned July.
Yeah, so
The 4th is in 2 days.
God, that's we don't need to be getting on time. We already had that podcast. If you want to go watch it after this one.
Anyway, I
Anyway.
feel like Storm, we should get back on topic or to a topic. But yeah, so the title is not it's a little misleading, but we couldn't think of a great title, so we just pulled a word randomly out of the dictionary. But we're going to be talking about viewpoints mainly. And extrospective was the closest word that sounded smart. So that's in the title. Um but yeah, we're going to be talking about viewpoints. Last time I remember we did a podcast about distorted perception. And mainly that podcast was about how individuals could perceive the worlds differently, how animals, like all of these different viewpoints could be like viewed on the world. But today we're going to be talking about other people's viewpoints on other people.
Mhm.
Because or just situations and stuff like that. How perceptions can change per like experience via the situation. And it's along the similar road, but it can definitely lead to some very interesting topics. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to start that one. That's a tough one. Storm,
Oh,
starts your cue.
sorry. Yeah, my bad. Um, I don't know. There's a lot that you can go into. Go figure when it comes to overall just how people will change over time and just how one person can affect another just
Yeah,
because they think differently. I mean, some of the earliest examples is like Santa Claus, you know, the Tooth Fairy, all that, and how someone can be like, "Oh, I don't believe in Santa," and that immediately can spark someone to start thinking otherwise as well. Like,
yeah,
does Santa really exist? Because of course Santa does exist. So those
of course.
naysayers are wrong,
Yeah.
those heretics. But you know,
Oh, and
like,
especially like, and I mean, that's a good example on how like when that comes to like marketing and stuff like that, how like icons and stuff like that slowly change over time because it's like one person views it a different way, and then it just kind of like shifts over to the rest of the world. What is it called? The Mandela effect, right? But like actually taking action in, you know, I don't know.
yeah.
It's the effect that like when one thing happens, it's not the Mandela effect. It's when like one thing happens like on like maybe the other side of the world, right? Slowly, like molecule by molecule, not physically but figuratively, like it shifts over to like the other side of the world, and like that tiny little change made this huge like thing happen, right? And
Mhm.
I feel like that happens a lot with like icons and stuff like that. They just all of these ideas change over time from what they used to be. Um, but I think Santa Claus has changed a few times.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Um,
there's a bunch of other examples you could have with like human development in and of itself. Like,
oh, you know what? This one pisses me off. Pizza. Um, Pizza's
okay,
so greasy, and like originally it was the food was made to be eaten with forks and knives. But then we came over to America and we just started like grabbing our little grubby hands on it, and now it's like tradition. And like but it's the things people do with pizza. It just really gets on my nerves. Like some
like
people,
puts ranch on
yeah,
pizza.
people put ranch on pizza. Not even like dipping stuff. They just put ranch on pizza, and like people like fold them into like sandwiches and shit. And it's like to
Okay, I
think.
do that.
No, sorry. To think that that was originally supposed to be eaten with a fork and knife, and now you folded it into a sandwich is kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah.
I don't
Wait,
know.
hold on. Is our chat box working?
Uh, I'd say no.
Hold on.
Um, it should be, but it's not. No.
Make sure it's on top.
Uh, well, what's above that is the alert box.
So,
It does say it's locked. Maybe I unlock it.
are you
Nope.
sure you unviewed it?
Nope. I'm not. I'm sure it's not like that. Oh, that's why. All right. Well,
Hmm.
that sucks.
To all of our all of viewers in Twitch or YouTube, as you can tell, it has been quite a while, and so some of our things
And
are
we've
going a
never
little
prepared for
haywire.
podcast in our life.
Yeah, we. What do you mean? We are the most professional.
Oh yeah, sorry. Only the best and top quality at the Midnight Oil podcast. We
Exactly.
script every podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So those
Mm-hmm.
times you see those podcasts flop, we're just it's there for the filler. It's part of the arc.
Exactly. It's supposed
Yeah,
to be the entertainment for the.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Supposed to be the funny break.
The funny break. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't have enough breaks.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that where something simple as that happens on the internet, and then someone else like, oh god, the internet is such a perfect example of this. When something small like this happens, and say someone else goes like, oh, Storm and Zenith, they're mad at each other, right? And then all of a sudden that blows up, right? So like these different viewpoints on like things like just like entirely shift, and especially a lot of big like content creators don't take that lightly, and it makes a lot of like people like stop what they're doing or stop enjoying what they love and stuff like that, and it's really harsh to see, but it's like again that just shift of viewpoints all of the sudden just like really makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. Like, and it's not even just you who can like change other people's. I mean, go figure. You can be like you can be developed by someone else's views, but they could have built their views off of someone else, and it's this endless cycle. I mean, that's just basically how the information highway goes. Is that one person will pass down to another, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I find it the most interesting that is it just me, or is that seeming like that's becoming less common knowledge?
I don't know. I've always thought, and I always found this really interesting, and I was thinking of this, I don't know, I was thinking like back in 6th grade. But like you are what your friends have made you. Like the people you choose to hang around, like that's what you become. All of those traits that you see from all of these different like people that you admire, you just start to pick and choose and add them to your to your traits. That's what creates a personality trait. Like they're just
Hmm.
big meshes of all these like tiny little traits and stuff like that, and it's all just melded of like what you see and like who you choose to hang out with and the parts that like really connect and make sense to
And it doesn't even have to be friends. Like that goes from family, like
yeah,
politics or religious standpoints, or just overall how they deem, you know, to see fit to be a person.
yeah.
It's that, and is it just me, or is it really odd that we are able to choose that? Like you would
Oh
think it would be something that we would just like inherently have, or we would be forced into, but everyone is just so minutely different, even if you are taught the same.
yeah. You know what
I
though? What was it? That's what makes parenting such a struggle. And that's why you see a lot of the times like you see some friends or whatever and like a lot of parents are super restrictive. And it's for that exact reason is because of the idea of like, well, as long as they don't see this information, they won't turn out like a bad child or a bad person. But obviously as children or more of teenagers, this I mean that applies to that more. You see it like more as you grow up just because it's like teenagers love their freedom. But um like you see a lot of people like who have maybe to you like unnecessary restrictions and stuff like that. And a lot of the times, hopefully though, it's because their parents like really just care about how they develop and how they grow up. But it's kind of hard for you to put yourself in your child's shoes. And
Yeah.
they really got to understand that you can't control everything that your child consumes. And it sucks, but you're just going to have to get over that.
Mm-hmm. Professor. Hi, Mewtwo. Nice to see you again. Uh, it has been a very long time, but I'm happy to see that you're still hanging around.
And our chat box isn't
Um,
working.
I don't know why it's not working.
Yeah.
I fixed it last time, and it's not working anymore.
It was working in the intermission.
I saw that. I don't know why it's not working now.
Let me check. Like, what's the difference between that and here? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Well, so it should.
It should, but it doesn't. Whatever. That
Huh.
sucks. We'll fix it maybe later.
If we can, we will.
Yeah.
But Um, I
What are you
and
saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Kids are always, but that's the reason why I feel like I want kids. Like I've always wanted kids, even when I was little. But
Yeah.
that was because I didn't know why. I just thought they would be really neat to have someone you can raise. But I
Hmm.
didn't really take into consideration like why it was that I wanted to raise someone. But now
Yeah.
I know why. I want to see how their viewpoints are going to be different. I
Hmm.
want to see what kind of extrospectives they're going to make through their lives.
Yeah.
Like I want to see how they are going to take how other kids are raised and how other parents and adults are, and pick and choose like, that doesn't seem that good. Now that seems great on the other hand.
Yeah.
And just see how a person grows.
Yeah. There's ups and downs to a lot of it, but I think the main point with like parents with that is like it's kind of like the idea it's similar to the trolley problem but on a different scale of like if you sit there and let your child do all of these things, like you feel at fault for not like guarding your child from this. But if you do, then you might be the direct cause of something. So it's like a risk, like a risk reward kind of thing, like on what you can like quote unquote protect your child from. Um, but it's like a lot of people would feel guilty just like having the feeling of standing by and letting their child like their lives get ruined or whatever, and they didn't they knew they could do something about it.
Yeah. But I
So
mean, I feel like that's what's going to happen with any parent.
yeah,
Like,
it's a
but
tough decision.
it's the gamble, and it's the unknowingness of raising that child.
Yeah, no one wants that a parent.
Yeah, no parent will be a master at it, but it's taking that risk because sooner or later your children might notice that risk, and that in and of itself is a risk to even see if they will notice what they had missed out on or what they see their parents noticing they did wrong, because
So
that
weird.
right there will shape them up as well,
Yeah.
because that'll shape them to be a parent in and of itself.
Yeah,
If they
yeah.
notice, that is what I find interesting is, and I mean, I've done this myself, and I know many other people, including you, that have taken certain things away from how they were parented.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of things that I want to do differently, and I'm not going to get into it because it's not important. But just, you will take away very minute details that don't seem like much, but you could have a completely 180 different child
Yeah.
compared to how you were taught. And I mean, they're not going to be anything like you due to them experiencing their own things.
Yeah.
Really fast, I want to get on this like quick side tangent about, I mean, it still relates, but it's like trends and whatnot, and how like you kind of think that, oh, I'm in school, I know where um oh my god, Blue. I was gonna mention that earlier. I was like, guys, Amaranth is live.
Yeah.
but but um
The mic is so loud.
I always wondered, or I always thought like, oh, I'm gonna be trendy, or at least I'm gonna know what trends are going on right now,
I no.
what's common. And I was always kind of like in the know of like what things were happening inside of school and outside of school. Like we kind of always know that people were to cuss around each other more in school than you would have outside of school.
Hmm.
And there's just certain jokes and certain taboos that aren't taboo in school but are outside of school. It's kind of like the internet as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of taboos on the internet that just, you just don't talk about out in person. And I started realizing it now that my sister's going to be going into middle school,
Yeah.
and I have no idea what is like floating around in the air at her school.
Oh.
I only know what she knows at home, and even then
Oh
that's
no. Yeah,
very
no.
little.
Middle school it's terrible. And to like think of like, oh no, this person's like about to just go through it. At least
Hmm.
mine was like not too good. There's some pretty trashy people there,
Oh
you
my
know.
god, my middle school was awful.
Yeah,
It was set up to be great, but puberty got in the way. That
exactly.
is all I'll leave it to. That is all I'll leave
Yeah,
it to.
that's true.
So that right there should be that should put into perspective just how bad middle school can be. Like I had great teachers, I had great classes. Um, I had really good friends at the time. I mean, I still have good friends now, but I mean, it was set up for a great year, but puberty and others got in the way.
Yeah. You know,
But I'm never going to know what taboos are going on in school that are grades lower than me, and I'm never gonna know what is going on for my sister's school life.
yeah.
I'll never know of it.
You know, I want to go back to that parent thing. I feel like a lot of the time, um, and this is a hard one to get over, but like when teenagers grow up, and parents don't realize how important their words are to their child because like they have so much little experience to them or like because they've just been born, right? So like all the words that their parents say is all the words that they have ever heard, right? So
Mhm.
that's what they have to make sense of. As of the parent has seen so much shit that they just couldn't really care less. And not about the child, but as in like, oh, I'm sure they'll understand, right? No, they don't think that out loud. It's just that
You
it's
just forget that
you
they don't have
forget
the vocabulary that they have or that
exactly.
you have.
Yeah, you forget you tend to forget how much like they really haven't gone through, you know. So it's hard to really like understand and um they just feel obligated to just like having to trust you. And of course, every situation is different, but as at least like growing up and these are the only person like people you've seen in your life, you have to really choose your words pretty carefully.
Two things that I have to add on to that. One is that going off of what you said, not only do they not know what, certain words are or the meanings behind them or the meaning behind certain phrases unless they're taught, you also don't know what words and phrases are going to stick with that child in a
Oh
good or a
yeah.
bad way. Like
Yeah.
you could say one thing that seems really mundane, like let's say your kid falls over and you're just like, "Oh, it's okay. Go play or whatever."
Yeah.
Like you brush off whatever it might be. You never know what your child could take away from that.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's not even just little kids that we have that problem with
Yeah.
or that people will have that problem with. I've known people that are maybe like 2, 3 years younger than me that I'll mention something and they go, "Huh?" It's like just a couple of years will throw you for a loop,
Yeah.
and
I
it'll
don't
throw
know.
other people for a loop.
It and I've noticed like at least wow, I was gonna say with my development, but um, but at least growing up, like I've realized that like how much 1 year means to me as like it wouldn't mean to another person, or how much like years start to devalue as you grow older because you've gone through so many, right? But like as a
Oh
child,
yeah.
it's really slowed down, right? Everything it's in like in a time warp, right? Where everything's really slowed down and you take in absolutely everything because you have nothing else to go off of. You're creating phrases.
Oh,
That was loud.
that makes so much sense.
What?
That's why time feels so much slower when you're a kid.
Because you have nothing else to go off of. You can't.
You're
Yeah.
not you don't just know things, you're learning everything.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would explain why time just kind of felt like it went so much faster.
Yeah, and
The
when you blank out or you're having fun, it just kind of like it speeds up, right? And that's the same method of like, okay, when an adult sees something 10,000 times, they just gloss over it in their head, right? So it's like, oh,
Mhm.
that didn't happen, and especially memories as an adult starts to go like, you start to remember like less of like your actual like adulthood more than your childhood, not because of time, but due to the fact that it's just like that was your basis, that was like the first thing you've ever like seen in that experience, you know?
I feel like though you can still slow in a very like not literal sense. Like you can still slow down time, and the reason for that is because you aren't done viewing everything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So if you were to really pinpoint the fact that you are experiencing something new, like right now, for example, we are having a brand new conversation. We are having brand new thoughts being brought up, just like how I just mentioned the fact that time speeds up, because you've already experienced those minute details.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's why if you start looking at the clock, time kind of slows down for a second.
Yeah.
And I mean, you will eventually lose the fact that even though you're staring at a clock, time's not going to slow down anymore because
Hmm.
you're used to doing that.
Yeah. That's the thing. Autopilot. That's what we're
Hmm.
talking about. Is when you like the moment you like when time is flying because you're having fun, your brain's on autopilot, right? It's just doing all the things it can, and it's just like kind of feels like it's rushing it, right? But as soon as you sit down and you take the time to just look at a clock, your brain all of a sudden realizes, oh shit, like I'm in the present, I'm at this moment, and then it turns off autopilot for a second, and you start to go manual, right?
Hmm.
That's the thing that happens in the same thing as the adult when you see something 10,000 times you go on autopilot, right? But with the what was I gonna say? I had a good one.
I know I had that earlier.
But oh no, so a good way to like slow down time if you feel like time's going too fast is shift your perspective, because it's one thing to go through an experience for the first time and process everything manually, but it's another thing to go through that same experience with a different viewpoint, right?
Hmm.
And though it's not going to be as slow as it was before, it's going to be like a different journey, a different path, right? So, whoa, why did that one show up but nothing else did?
Whoa! Howdy!
Seriously? Like all of the other chats show up, but like the one that's a bot doesn't?
10 views of a whole. Wait, what?
You're lucky today. Our team gives you a promo code for 10 viewers for a whole day. I guess it's a lot for some people.
What? That's so crazy, Zenith! I have an
Yeah.
idea!
Get viewers pro at Olympic or top of the Olympics on Twitch. Yeah, so and as soon as Mewtwo types, it just immediately just doesn't show up. Why did that one show up?
Wait, hold on.
What?
Zenith, move the chat box up a bit.
Oh, are you serious?
Hold on.
We figured it out.
Did we? I'm hoping
Yeah.
so. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Good catch.
Oh,
That makes
that's
so
so
much sense.
unfortunate.
How did that happen?
Because I realized I was like, wait a minute, we didn't see the full text of the one
No, I
guys.
see. No, you weren't showing up on the screen for a second. That was the thing.
Dang it.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Oh, that's so funny.
Anyway, but yeah, back to like viewpoints is that was the main focus. But I also wanted to throw out a main reason I wanted to do this podcast, and I don't remember how it relates, but the amount of times children just don't like you got to realize how many times like teenagers don't make adult decision making. I don't know why this related. It just like it really like made me mad one day on like um I mean, though me and Storm aren't like the smartest people and we are still teenagers.
Hmm.
Um when we go through an experience, we sit there, the adult decision process is, you go through an experience, you process the experience, and then you learn from the experience, right? You process, then you make a decision. Like you throw out the pros and cons, you make a decision, and then you reflect on your decision, right? That's adult decision making. Oh my gosh, the amount of times I see that process just skipped over is like
Oh
it's
yeah.
infuriating, you know? And but the ability to like go back and change your viewpoint is a lot of people are lacking that. And it's kind of infuriating, but at the same time it's just like what can you do?
You want to know something else?
What?
If you also want to try to speed up time again, and also
Speed up
ex,
time?
uh, uh, kind of both, yeah. and you want to get a good extrospective, a really good one. I mean, it's the whole premise is taking other people's viewpoints on not just what their environment is and how they take it in, but also um just their life in general, their in general outlook on life.
Hmm.
I suggest that everyone have a discussion with some of your closest friends or your best friend. Ask them why they live.
That's a deep one. Yeah.
It's a really deep conversation, and it's not for the faint of heart, but it definitely gets you thinking, and it gets you to dive into not only the reason the or why other people are living, but why you are.
Yeah.
Because I've known
Yeah.
for a while, I knew the reason I'm living is because I want to I want to live and experience. And I knew that, but I didn't know precisely the thought process behind the reason of me wanting to experience. And now I know it's because I want to experience thought. I want to know what I'm going
Uh-huh.
to be thinking while learning something new, while seeing something I've never seen before and growing.
I just couldn't take like your conversation seriously as your dogs were barking in the background.
Yeah, I know that I've
You
tried
just
to
powered through.
I was praying they would just like shut up. But
That's
um
funny.
but I it's just like me talking about that right there. I'm hoping a lot of people can understand just a little bit more about me, and maybe
Mhm.
you guys can also think that on your own.
Yeah.
I'd be more than willing to have a genuine discussion with people about life,
Yeah.
life in general, and whether
Definitely.
that be in the form of just how I view it and why I live.
Um, but here's a piece of advice to get people on the track of using their brains. Um, when you are in like full disagreement with someone or you disagree with someone's action, like doesn't matter what the scale is, there needs to be a point where you sit down and say to yourself, there is a reason behind, like there is a thought process and justification in their head on why they did this action, right? There's a reason why they thought this thing was right, or there's a reason why they thought it was wrong, right? And like maybe it was their experience, maybe it was this, but people need to go into the dive of like, what, you know, what thought process do they go to make that sort of decision, and like how can I relate to that, you know? And
Yeah.
how could I like justify their situation? um and you don't have to say anything about it, just know that there was a reason somebody did something, right? There always is, unless there isn't, then that sucks.
I also think that a lot of people need to take into consideration that you can always disagree. It is important, and I find it important to disagree
Oh yeah.
because without disagreement, there's no advancement, there's no learning, and there's no evolving.
Yeah.
But as we've been mentioning so much, they have different viewpoints. They're not going to be one to you. It's the reason you're disagreeing in the first place.
Oh yeah.
And so you need to learn why it is they are disagreeing with you, why it is they're either arguing or they just don't see where you're coming from. But if you can teach them why you aren't seeing the same side of the coin that you are, because you are both sitting on it or different sides of the table and the coin is upright. Of course, you're going to see two different viewpoints of the one coin. But that's just it. You can turn that coin around and you can see it. You can see what face they were looking at that time. And you can teach each other what it is you saw from that.
Yeah.
And you can both take away whatever you want from that. And it's your choice whether or not you take the time to listen to that person you have disagreed with for a very short amount of time or years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can always do both. You can do it at any point with both. So I'm not saying that you have to become friends with that person either. you can stay completely neutral with it. You could even hate them for all you care. But as long as you get something out of it, or sorry, both of you get something out of that, in the sense that you have both learned, then I think you two are free to go about your days knowing that there's something you've gotten to take away besides just, "Hmm, I don't like this person."
And that's why learning is cool. Stay cool in school, kids.
Yeah, don't do drugs and
That too.
go to bed at 9 o'clock sharp.
Sharp.
No phones, no technology. Better not see you on that video game set.
The Vigi game. Have you actually ever heard someone call it like a Vigi game unironically?
No, and I hope I never do because they will not live to say it again.
But Storm, you gotta understand their side.
And I already did by that one word or those two words.
Vigi game. I see you've chosen death.
Aha. So, I see you have the inferior viewpoint.
I love saying that though, when it's like something like where it's clearly just like an obvious opinion, but like you just call it objective.
Yeah.
Like yeah, so I was at the Air Force Academy for tennis camp, and it's actually a pretty cool place. It's up in Colorado Springs in the mountains. Pretty cool college, pretty cool campus. But anyway, we were getting the for lunch they were feeding these I think we always get some sort of like fast food place for lunch there, and they gave us these sandwiches from this place called Jersey Mike's. I've
Mhm.
never heard of it, but I remember I chose turkey just because that's what I choose to eat. And if you have any other opinion, that sucks. But
Wrong.
like a lot of like every single one of my friends got ham, and I was like looking at them like, why would you choose ham? And they're like, bro, like turkey's so dry and stuff, and like ham just melts in your mouth. I'm like ham's not bad. Like I could I could try to see that. Right? I could try to like meet in the middle with you, right? And
Uh-huh.
then one of them walked up to the concessions, and and for like they have all these pops, they have all the colored like these different colored like Gatorade sitting out there. You can get a water, these like the candies and stuff like that, right? Out of all of the stuff he could have purchased, he got an orange Gatorade, and I'm like, okay, now you're just objectively wrong. Like there's no justification. There is no like rhyme or reason. You just must be insane. Like
It's just the mundane things to take out of someone's day and just
yeah,
go, "Hmm."
yeah.
That's all you gotta do is you just gotta go,
But
"Hmm."
like out of all of the other Gatorades, like
Chose
why the
orange?
orange one? I mean, Gatorade is okay.
No, Gatorade's good, and it's good for electrolytes.
Gatorade's like the only like drink that can be drinking cold and like warm at the same time.
Mhm.
Not like warm
Exactly.
warm, but like room
Dude,
temperature Gatorade isn't the worst.
is it just me or is it any time you have Gatorade in your room, like right next to your bed, it's because you're sick and you always wake up
Yep.
at like 4 in the morning in a cold sweat and you just
Yeah.
look over and you got a blue Gatorade or a red
Yep.
Gatorade
Or
sitting right
purple.
next to you and you just go, this shit hitting the spot tonight, baby.
Yep.
You take a big swig and go back to sleep.
Uh,
More of a brisk tea guy. That's not bad. Brisk tea's not bad.
I don't know. I've just never met anyone in my life that genuinely like out of any other option they could have chosen, it would have been orange. Like,
Yeah.
if they had all the options too, I'm just saying. I drink an
Wait,
orange Gatorade before, but
they had every other option
every
and
other
they
color.
chose orange.
Yep. Glacier Freeze was up there, dude.
What? And they didn't take it?
Nope.
No, they're just bad.
They're just wrong.
They are. How do I put this in the most PG way possible?
So yeah, what I'm
They
trying to
won't be
say,
saying hi
yeah, what
ever
I'm
again.
what I'm trying to say is that like you should always try to like see other people's sides, unless they like orange Gatorade. Then
Mm-hmm.
I
Which then
I
it
I
doesn't
totally
matter.
understand why you disagree with them, because I don't think they have any friends. So
And so there's no point.
yeah, there's no point. They just I don't know. They're corrupted. You know, they've
But who knows?
chosen the wrong path at birth.
Maybe if you show them if you show them your viewpoint in a angry or polite way, either or, preferably the angry way,
Yeah.
maybe they'll learn from their mistake and they can build a new life
Yeah.
from the ground up.
Maybe get a new basis in
Yeah.
introspective, you know,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
by seeing your extrospective on their very poor decision.
Exactly. See, we are just modern day philosophers.
Modern day philosophers. Yeah, this is the new modern, guys.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna be
Do
seeing
you
in like your new philosophy textbooks the word swag and like
Yes.
yeah.
But the new word swag no longer means what stuff we all get. It now stands for serious
Serious
uh
wacky,
serious wacky analogies. Uh uh serious
serious wacky ass goods.
uh
That sounds like a drug.
serious. It does. It's the new dank,
Would you
bro.
like to hit Would you like to hit up some swag, bro?
Want to hit up some of my swag, bro? You got that good swag?
The good swag. Me, as you can tell, me and Sam clearly don't do drugs.
Uh-huh. If we did, we would be really
Yeah, that'd be
cool.
so weird. That'd be
We'd be part of
so
the
weird.
we'd
That'd be
be part
so
of the
weird.
cool kids.
Yeah.
Clearly, we are not a part of the cool kids.
But yeah. Anyway, back to
We
the
still got
topic at hand. I don't have a
we still got an
transition.
hour. We still
Yeah,
got
we
an
still.
hour.
I don't mind.
No, me neither. This is so much fun. I've
Yeah.
missed this.
At least we haven't been talking about dots.
Yeah, we
Actually,
could
I think
be.
I just
Oh
like jinxed
no!
us.
No! This was such a good podcast.
I'd ruined it with a taboo name.
The name that shall not be spoken.
Yeah.
No, you can't say that. Mewtwo, no.
Cool kids club. No, okay, you can't. No. How do I remove the comment?
No.
How do I remove the comment?
How does it go away?
You need to bleep what I said and you need to blur that out.
Yeah, damn it.
How do why can I not remove that comment?
Mewtwo, what have you done to us?
Oh, you no.
Oh my goodness, golly.
I don't think you have to beep out what I said, but you're definitely gonna have to.
People can.
Jesus.
Yeah, you need to make us mods.
Do I?
Yes,
We have
because then we
Robo for
can
that.
moderate. No, we don't have a mod in our
Yeah.
Twitch chat.
It's
Damn it,
fine.
Mewtwo.
It's
Oh my
fine.
god.
Anyway,
Anyway.
what's it? You got a good transition, Storm?
Not after that.
Back to the topic at hand. Maniacal laughter.
There will be no maniacal laughter because there will be no more viewing of this
Yeah,
to be
our view
heard.
rate has just like dropped significantly.
Yeah, we have plummeted.
Yeah.
We've brapped all over this place, and look at us now.
Okay.
No more podcast. Because of one statement.
Anyway, back at the topic at hand. I'm really viewing that we should start talking about some philosophical statements right now.
Yeah, it was me. I did brap, but
I don't think you can say that on.
I can say that on. I can say
Oh
that.
my god. Okay. Back to what we're talking about.
You shouldn't have said dots. Look at what you've done to us.
As soon as I just spoke the name, it just
every went to shit. Damn it.
You're gonna have to cut this part out. All of it. All of it.
All of it. The whole podcast.
It's never gotten to YouTube before. That word has never gotten to YouTube before. I'm sure it has, but whatever. Anyway.
Back to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
Jesus. It was a thrill and a half. Yeah, nice chat indeed. But anyway, I guess we can talk about some personal experiences. Not too crazy, but definitely just like what are some of the biggest times or most like memorable times you would say you found some other extrospectives that have truly changed you?
Well, the one I can't mention because it has this unspoken candy in it. But
Mm-hmm.
um really like I feel like everyone has that moment where their perspective just shifts on life. And I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, you know? Because there's so many times like I feel like it's a good moment, and especially meditation is a good one. Meditation or contemplation, one of the two. And I think both are actually completely different. But mainly meditation is the focus on like focusing on the present and stuff like that. But that can shift a viewpoint, right? But it's also important to like go down and like just lay down on your floor, look up at the ceiling, and just contemplate about life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And think, what could I do differently? That's another thing people don't do. And like aside from adult decision making, thinking about your wrongs, like what do you, and mainly socially is the easiest to do. Like, what do you not like about yourself socially? What are you doing wrong that you think isn't socially acceptable from what you've seen, right? How
Yeah.
can you change, right? Um, so I mean, I've done that a lot. I did that yesterday. I just lied on the floor and looked up at the ceiling. I'm like, what do I want to do right now? You know, I feel
Uh,
like it's a go moment to do. Just a day of contemplation.
at one point, I do want to mention not right now because it's not important. But I want to mention my eyes philosophy.
Your eyes philosophy.
Mm-hmm. You
Why
know what
not
I'm
right
talking
now?
about. Should I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right, fine. One of my biggest extrospectives and also introspective, depending on literally how you're looking at it, is eyes. And I take this into consideration every
Eyes.
day. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Every day. I take it into consideration where eyes are everything. Everyone will say, or like you've probably heard once in your life that, oh, eyes are the gateway to the soul. Eyes are the gateway to your heart. Blah 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 blah. Eyes are the way to you. They are the one thing that allows you to see, the world, but it's not a one-way glass scenario. It's two ways. It's never going to be one way. And so if you truly take the time to look into someone's eyes, you can tell everything about a person. You can tell what experiences you would have had with that person before you had met them if you had met them sooner. Like you can tell the past, present, and future just through their eyes. You can tell how they're going to be without even knowing them for that long, without even getting to know what their mannerisms are like or what their body language is. You can tell so much about a person with their eyes. Me personally, I don't feel like it works to the extent of fully knowing someone unless you are looking at the same time. And that doesn't mean looking at the bridge of someone's nose or looking at just like their forehead or their mouth. If you are truly looking into someone's eyes, you can tell so much about them. People you've known for years, maybe even your whole life, if you have not taken the time to look them in their eyes, both of you at the same time, then do it. I promise it's going to be an eye-opening experience. Because you just might have not known things that you will have known the moment you look in their eyes. And it,
And
it makes so much sense why people get uncomfortable with
yeah,
eye
that's
contact.
exactly what I was about to mention. Um, where I remember like looking at some documentations and like and a lot of things, and I'm about to mention stuff about autism here, but or like anything down that road of like neurodivergency, stuff like that. Well, and a lot of the big part of like the symptoms is social anxiety. So definitely staring at people's eyes, it can feel kind of threatening, you know. So that's definitely hard for some people. But there was like certain types of people where they straight up get overstimulated by looking at people's
Hmm.
eyes. Like they just can't look at anywhere else. Overstimulation by anxiety, overstimulation in the brain, regardless, that's how much eyes can mean to someone, you know?
And
it's
I don't
scary.
notice. I don't know how people don't recognize that. The eyes are the literal way you experience the world around you.
Yeah.
They are what allow you. And I'm not saying you can't experience the world without, or you can't experience them without eyes. You can. If you are blind legally, you can still experience so much. And honestly, everything else will allow you to experience in such a formal way and such an interesting way that none of us will ever have like the time nor experience to gather what you have not seen, literally. And so, but I mean, even without that, you still the eyes are the only way to witness you growing up. It is the only way to witness everything. And it genuinely makes a lot of sense once you really start to think that people don't like eye contact because there is so much people can learn from you, and they might not like that. They might not like the fact that it's not a one-way glass. You can look out and look at everything. If you've got sunglasses on, you can look everywhere and no one will notice where you're looking.
Oh yeah, that's
Or
terrifying.
But the moment someone knows they can look right back at you, and not just at you, into you, people really don't. People just don't like that. Because what if you learn something from someone that you don't want them to know?
Hmm.
You know, like that's just what's gonna happen over time. Is you are going to occasionally, either by accident or willingly, you're going to look at someone's eyes and you might look at them in disgust because you don't like it, or you might enjoy it. You might learn more things that you wanted to learn that the other person is willing to give information to. But because of your eyes, you are not really able to choose what you want them to see.
But
You can close your eyes, but good luck.
you know what though? That would be the reason why eyes are such like a religious like sentiment or religious piece to like not specifically any religion but like a lot of people like worship the eye, you know? And like and
Mhm.
the third eye and stuff like that and sidekicks and stuff like that. It's affiliated with a lot of those kinds of stuff and it just kind of melts together. But no, yeah, no, eyes are definitely in that like sort of and when you see it in the internet as well, it's affiliated with stuff like weirdcore, you know?
Why do you think biblically accurate angels have so many?
Right. Yeah. Those I mean it's just terrifying, you know?
Hmm.
But just the sight is such an interesting sense, you know?
It's the biggest extrospective you can get because it is the one thing that allows you to experience a part that is not in you.
Yeah.
Everything else can take part inside of you.
I mean it's one of the most used parts of our senses, you know?
Hmm.
It's how we retain like 80% of our information.
I want to say it's over that, honestly.
Mm. Well, it just depends. Like you know, having the use and function of eyes, right? At that point, it might be to 80 to 90, but obviously, without them, your other senses start to compensate for that, and that's why they seem heightened to other
Hmm.
people, right?
It's because they do. They literally
Yeah,
become stronger because they need to make up for the fact that you aren't taking in the senses that are needed to live.
your
Or,
brain's
well, that
hungry.
your body, yeah, your body deems that your eyes are the reason you're living. And so without it, your body kind of gets afraid that, uh-oh, I could die here.
Yeah,
So it'll make your smell stronger, your hearing stronger, your taste stronger, your feeling stronger. So
it's so weird.
I mean, that one side tangent is one of the main reasons I also live is because of eyes. Sounds weird, but It's true. I
So
live
I believe in
because,
Nick.
oh, trust me, I've got a ton.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's totally unoriginal because it's just the replacement of one word. But do you think I don't know what is like I in other language like me like why in English why is like I the what's it called um rhymes with like I. It's like the same thing. What's there's a word for that, and I didn't pay attention in English, but
The
I mean, there has to be some reason like why I and I are like the same sounding.
letter I and I.
Yeah, there'd have to be some reason, right? But like chances are it's just mere coincidence and what sounded easier for people.
I mean, who knows? Maybe my introspective in to eyes is not, granted, I know I'm not the first, but what if that was the reason for the letter I
Yeah,
and why it sounds like I? Because eyes are you. You make yourself up and you make others up by your own eyes.
eyes are such an
So,
experience thing, you know. Like all of your experience is just like it builds up what your eyes come to be.
mhm,
It's terrifying. It just bleeds through. You might forget it, you know, but your eyes don't.
yeah.
It stores all the memory and knowledge and all the experience you've ever witnessed, and it just sits
Oh
there.
God, that statement. You
Yeah,
might forget it, but your eyes don't.
yeah, it's true, right? And
Yeah.
if you ever and I mean this comes with like cases of like maybe depression as well on how some people are able to like know when someone else is feeling sad before they do, right? Is you could just look into their eyes and realize that something's not right because like you might forget that you're feeling some certain way or you might just become used to it but your eyes don't. It just displays everything that's there, you know?
Mhm.
But it's terrifying, man.
Like I said, eyes are the what seem on the first, like on a first hand basis, seem like one way glass. Your brain is behind this thin film that you can see the whole world out of, but no one knows that you're looking. But the moment other people are looking in, you realize they're staring right at you because
Yeah.
you are I.
It's and I mean that's for some reason like just to put into perspective on how much your eyes define you. That's the exact reason when people look for anomaly or whatever for like pictures of like people who don't want to be identified, right? That's why they blank out their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and stuff like it's like you see in those like you know basic serial killer movies or whatever of like their victims or whatever, they cross out their eyes because that is everything that defines them,
Yeah.
you know, of like the oh these are their victims or whatever, and they take out their eyes just because that's what defines them, you know. You can't live without them, blind or not. It still shows.
Is there a difference between I and I?
What do you mean?
Like, is there a difference between I, the letter I, and I?
No, I get you what you mean, but
Because
how
they
could that be
are.
so similar, you know? Like what other languages use I in the same context? As in like the like what's it called? Um the version to describe someone like I did this, you know, like how many other languages use that to in the same context, in the same word? Or
Hmm.
like I don't know. I can't think of it. What's I in Spanish?
You're asking the wrong guy. I'm taking Spanish this year.
Yeah,
Not yet.
well, I'm going into Spanish next year. I should know this. I don't know why it's just blanked off the top of my head. Um, let's see. I don't know, and I'm not sure like Spanish is the best example because Spanish is kind of like had a similar foundation but went on a different route from us. Let's see, I
I mean,
it's yo. I forgot. Yeah, my bad. But like, what is I in Spanish? I don't know how to pronounce that.
Ojo.
Ojo, which is more similar to um, like, like the anatomical, how we are the anatomical word for eyes. So it's I mean that's like quite literal instead of like um the correlation between I and I. But I mean, looking at Greek and Latin, like that's stuff you we can do. Now we don't have to research this right here, but if you're ever interested, like looking at different languages and like seeing the relation between those words, you can go ahead and do it yourself.
Yeah. But I mean, this is the whole, like, what we are talking about right now is the whole reason philosophy exists.
Yeah.
But that's because philosophy is never something that I feel will ever be set in stone.
No, that's the point of philosophy.
Because everyone's is different. I mean, hell, I mentioned this earlier, but if you really want, like, whenever I was talking about passing time, if you want to, like, if you really want time to slow down for a second, listen to other people's reason for living. Listen to their philosophy. Because their philosophy might be entirely different.
Listen to their eyes.
Hmm. God, it's one thing to just talk about um hello cakes, nice to see you. Um but it's one thing to talk to someone about philosophy, but it's another to like actually look at them and talk about philosophy.
Yeah.
You gain a new perspective. You are gaining them in the conversation.
That's so weird, and that's what makes like online so terrifying to some people. I'm like, oh, you truly don't get to know the person because it's not the easiest to be able to look someone in the eyes on a line, and not only for the reason of like oh webcams and stuff like that, but I mean it's like you fully can't process all of like what their eyes have to tell you through a screen. You know,
Yeah.
there's no amount of pixels you can create to truly define their eyes to that screen. No resolution, no brightness that can get you to the 1-to-1 ratio of what stories their eyes can tell you. And that's what
I think
makes
that
the internet so scary.
I think that's the reason, like, I'm guessing whenever you're in like a big call or something, you'll look at the person's profile picture when they're talking,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Because that is, at that moment at least, that is the only like source of them that you have besides their voice.
It's crazy.
I mean, like, if you were to just have met me and all you had was my profile picture in my voice, you are either going to imagine me as whatever my profile picture may be, or you're going to come up with an entirely different person. You're
Like a
going to,
34-year-old male,
yeah,
as of everyone assumes.
exactly. I could either be an 8-year-old that went through puberty really
Oh,
early.
what the fuck? The alert box works.
Oh, it does work. Look at that.
Yeah, thanks to
Thank you.
follow.
Yeah, thank you, Cakes, for the follow. But I hope you like that little UI too. I tried
Yeah,
to pick
I
the
really
milkiest
like that.
one. Try to pick the milkiest one. I might try to make my own at some point, but that's a topic for another day. Um, but I mean, you're going to come up with this new envisionary. You're going to come up with this new person on the spot. For me, for example, you're going to come up with either, again, a 15-year-old, very unlikely, or you're going to come up with a 35-year-old man who's got 2 kids and just made a mortgage on a home. So
Yeah,
you got anywhere in between there just based off of my profile picture and my voice.
such a wide variety or
And
iety.
it's
God.
ha 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 ha. And it's just whatever you get to choose. But that perspective, that new view that person has is something that you should talk to that person about. And you
Gosh,
most likely eventually will.
you know what's so like utterly terrifying though is like I could display like whatever I want through my voice, right? Like
Hmm.
vocals, in my opinion, are so easy to manipulate. And other times you might be feeling strongly about something in it, and you might sound off. But I like, in my opinion, like if you really like try, you can like force your vocals to sound however you want, right?
Oh yeah.
In an emotional sense. But as soon as like someone like my eyes could be completely dead right now, you want to know it, right? My eyes could be filled up with joy right now, you want to know it. And though it doesn't sound like it, I'm just kind of chilling, right? It's whatever. But if you would like looking at someone's eyes as they're talking versus their voice just completely shifts their entire like your perspective on how they think. You know,
Hmm.
it's terrifying.
I mean,
Terrifying.
greatest.
Ah.
I'm gonna kill you. But if I mean, greatest example is for me. For example, I've gained this skill that I'd practiced for about a good
Sorry,
two
that's
months.
another thing that's also wrong. Strawberry milk is also just objectively not good.
It
Orange
depends
Gatorade and
on the
strawberry
brand.
milk. I never liked strawberry. Why?
Thank you,
Why
Cake,
strawberry
for
milk?
selling milk flavored milk. I will be buying. Strawberry. I have not had it in a very long time, so my taste on it has just been what I had that one time, and it was okay. So I could be completely wrong.
Okay, how many different ways can you say the word I?
Uh,
As in like contextual ways. Like there's I, there's my, as in like possessive like pronouns, right? Like I, my, like how many times can you say I in context?
why?
Why? But I'm like referring to yourself.
Oh.
Like as in like I, my, like that I don't know. How else can you say that?
Me too. I think I'm
Me,
sorry,
well,
but you
me
are a
is not, yeah.
little wrong on that one. Okay, Cakes, I don't know about that one. You're not wrong, but
Strawberry
chocolate
milk is
milk
not the best.
should be your favorite.
Well, I wouldn't disagree if someone's like said any other kind of milk, but like
But
strawberry milk is
strawberry?
just not it.
Like, are you telling me you have a gallon of strawberry milk in your fridge right now? If you
Nobody
do,
has strawberry milk in their fridge, like a gallon. That's such a waste. You can't just
Blue,
straight up like
this will define whether or not we continue talking from this point on. What's your favorite type of regular milk?
everyone has a preference on that. Okay.
Okay, in what? Bags? Jugs?
They're lactose
What?
intolerant.
Uh, well, you're just weak. Um, well, for your guys' opinion, 2% milk is good for drinking. Whole milk is best for cereal.
Okay. I agree.
Almond milk is really good if you just want that almondy taste. And it can go really good with Honey Nut Cheerios or normal Cheerios. But I'd honestly
Other than that,
prefer,
I wouldn't. No,
yeah,
I
rather than
understand that
that.
almonds and nuts, honey nuts go good together. Yeah, I agree.
And a container stored in my fridge.
That's
Okay. Ah, I'd love to see a picture. Never mind. I should not have said that.
yeah.
I should not have said that. And a dog?
Anyway, to
Anyway,
continue with our philosophical statements. Yeah, but like thinking of that,
do not clip that. Clip that, and I swear to God, I'll end you.
ways to contextualize the word I. I guess that kind of is like evidence to like disprove that kind of like theory of like, what about me? You know, me doesn't have the word I in it. It doesn't relate to it at all.
Yet
So
it's still pertaining to I.
yeah. So I don't know. I and me, I, me, my. I don't know if there's any other ways to say I in context.
I don't think so.
Weird. I don't know. Well, I
Hmm.
don't know. Someone look that up, like why they're similar.
Honestly, I don't know if you're going to get a definitive answer because, again, every word in the English language, due to it being so unbelievably complicated, very complicated, is it's open for introspection. You know, it's open for interpretation and everything that goes in between those.
Yeah.
Because the English language is made to be messed with. It's made to be construed to
That's why I
form
have so
different.
many classes focused on it, which
I mean,
sucks.
it makes a lot of sense, and it sucks to go through those classes, especially because I feel like you can learn through life.
Well, yeah, but like, will people want to learn? Some people don't, and like,
That's fair.
and for some people, those are some fundamentals, you know. And that's why they're like, well, these are the fundamentals you need to get down, so you probably should learn these. But at the same time, not everyone wants to learn that kind of thing, and everyone learns in different ways. But well,
Yeah, and so granted, there's also a bunch of like it's a building block. You know, the more English classes you take, I mean, they're not going to get philosophical.
philosophical.
Philosophical. Thank you. I had a brain fart moment at
I
that
wonder
point.
why my vocabulary is so vast, though. If like English is like my least favorite class.
And it would make a lot of sense.
What do you mean?
Like that makes a lot of sense as to why it would not be your favorite. Because it's just there's so many variables that you can.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not my favorite part. Is the fact that like I think I talked about this on I'm not, I think I talked about this on podcast. No, it didn't make it to YouTube. On how my English final had it like it genuinely had a question that went like, you know, this author they were like writing a script for a play. That's what we write, right? This author like their goal is to make text that like just like makes people fall on the floor laughing, right? Write scripts that make people like fall over, start laughing, bawling their eyes out, right? And then it said under it, what piece of evidence proves this statement? I'm like, are you serious? Like you're telling me what is funniest in their eyes? I don't know them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like you're asking me for my opinion, but one's objectively right. You can't ask what opinion is objectively right. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Right? And I guess it's the way that English is taught, where like everything else in school is taught through objection, right? This is right, this is wrong. Take this as a basis, right? But with English, there is no objection, right? The whole point of English is subjection, right? And that's why a lot in literature and stuff like that, right? In poetry and what that and poetry also fails to do this. They try, right? And they try to like take the spin on English on subjection, but like in like testing and stuff like that, the only way people know how to test is through objection, and that's what makes English so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some people just kind of gloss over that, and like they just don't let that bother them, and that's why English is their favorite subject. But go them.
But another reason why English is so complicated in general is because, I mean, that sentence that I just said right there, you could rephrase it and it still makes it still makes the exact same amount of sense. Yet you could make it the most complicated sentence in the world using overly long words and making the explanation so much longer,
Yeah,
or you could dull it down to like 3 words and
yeah,
it
like
still
how
makes
you
sense.
keep on rephrasing the same sentence like 20 times, but making the same philosophical
Uh-huh.
point.
Exactly. So I mean that right there should be point enough to just explain that you can learn a lot of different views from everyone because they will describe one sentence that you've said a million times one different way,
Yeah.
and it changes your whole outlook on life.
Yep. That's
I don't know.
another way. Like if you want to shift the viewpoints in your head, if you want to have that moment to like really take in everything, like a good way to start is to start rephrasing your sentences, right? And in order to rephrase your sentence, and that's why we were just talking about like someone may say a sentence differently, and it shifts your perspective. The reason behind that is because the reason they formed that sentence differently is because they have a different viewpoint, right? So I guess you do have to start off with a different viewpoint, but like a good building block is like start constructing your sentence differently, right? Um, and I guess that will kind of like shape your basis a little, shape or add on to it in a different way. View your basis differently entirely. But that's a good way to start off. It goes with the analogy with the glass half empty, half full kind of thing,
Hmm.
you know. And you could say both of those things, and you can interchange them between like contexts, but that might not necessarily mean whether you're an optimist or a pessimist or both, or like what viewpoint you have, because you might just be saying stuff, right? But it's a good way to kind of like put you on the right track. And if you're able to actually dive in and understand why people say that, that's a good way to start shifting your perspective.
Yeah. Sorry, Cake said the glass is broken.
Yeah.
I giggled. But I don't know. There's just God. Weird.
Yeah, but you know what though? That's such a stupid like argument. I feel like oh, if you say it's half full, you're an optimist, and half empty, like a pessimist. Well, it depends on the drink. Like what if you're filling it? If you fill it halfway, then it's half full. If you drink it halfway, then it's half empty.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel
So
like that's
you're
dumb.
being optimistically pessimistic.
Yeah, I guess.
God, it's like our naming schemes for our titles.
Yeah. We might throw out all of these like different philosophies and talk about like, oh, there's so many different ways to talk about the same sentence in cool ways. We're so terrible at titles. And we
Hmm.
might have some cool ones, but like you should like sometimes we spend 30 minutes thinking about titles. And like but the best titles are thought about in like 2 seconds.
Yep. Like, guys, for the people that have not gone to our YouTube, with which Cakes, if you have not gone to our YouTube channel, please do. You would love it. You will find literally every single podcast we have done. So please go down and subscribe. But for everyone else, including our YouTube viewers, love you to death, but we wish you that you come down here to the Twitch, which, if you're watching, the link is in the description below, which you can go subscribe, or sorry, follow our Twitch, and you will be able to catch us live whenever we go live. And we also have a Discord server. We definitely suggest that you go down there because we will be posting every single time we go live and where we post new videos.
Yep.
So yeah, just go down into the description of either the Twitch or the YouTube, and you will find both either or and the Discord, which we very heavily suggest you go join.
Now, that
But
Discord
with that,
server might be half empty, but if you want to, you can help rebuild it, you know?
you can help fill it back. You can
Yeah.
help fill it halfway back up. You know what I mean? So
Do you want to be pessimistic or what?
Back to the topic at hand. Um I was about to talk about optimism, but it actually got me thinking. This was a good one. The term overthinking is such a complicated term in my opinion, because you see someone there's so many different types of overthinking. Like analyzing all parts of a situation might be considered overthinking, right? Like pointing out all of your faults that you could make might be considered overthinking. And commonly overthinking is associated with anxiety, right? Me personally, I'm able to, what's it called, um I can combat my anxiety pretty well as a person, right? I feel like I'm able to uh what's the word for it, like not cope, but
cope.
I'm able to like deal with my anxiety. I don't know. It's not that much of an issue to me. It doesn't bother me, right? As much as it would other people, right? But a lot of people still could consider me an overthinker. And for the longest time, I'm like, oh, I don't overthink, because what I do is I look at a situation, right? And this is how I can be really chill about a lot of like alarming situations, right? And I think in my head, I'm like, okay, here's all the possibilities, and let me immediately rule out all of the things that have a very low chance of happening. And a lot of people can't do that in their heads, right? And especially like with people with anxiety, thinking about other situations where they think about all of it, right? And they don't consider what's more probable or what's not. They just consider it's an option, period, right? And that's what a lot of people consider overthinking. But the fact that I'm thinking of all of these possible outcomes could still be considered overthinking, because some
Hmm.
people just go through it and don't think about it. So, or they do think about it, but just not like that. But
Jesus, yeah.
I feel like there's so many ways you can define overthinking. But yeah, definitely optimism as well. Um, I'd say like I can be an optimist in a lot of situations where and this, I guess, it applies to a lot of stressful situations. I'm pretty good at getting myself out of stressful situations. and that's where you'd see where I'd say, oh, I don't overthink and I'm optimistic, right? That's where all those values that I say that I have would like apply in context. But anywhere else, right? I follow the philosophy of like be like truth, right? And like cold, hard, honest truth. Because it might hurt the most at the moment, but at least it stings the less. It doesn't stay there for a long period of time, right?
Yeah.
So when something happens, right? Someone does something that's not like that agreeable. I just say that was stupid, right? And then someone would be like, "Well, that's pessimistic," right? But I mean, it's just different contexts, you know. So a lot of these words could be shifted just depending on the context, and I feel like that's just how English is.
Mm-hmm.
We do need a filter bot. You know,
What do you mean we need a filter bot?
I'm just looking at the chat and I'm like, I probably should have like just kept it down there.
What the hell did I miss? I click off of like I went and I was trying to go look at our analytics and I'm like,
Yeah,
what did we miss?
yeah. You have some work to do, bud. In the
God damn it.
yeah,
I'm
you're
gonna blacklist certain words like dots.
yeah, we need a bot up eventually. Yeah, we need
We need
mods.
moderators. Yeah, who wants to be our mod, guys? Do you guys I'm just saying, you guys get benefits if you're a mod. Cakes. We'll consider it. If you join the
Yeah.
Discord server, we'll
If
do
you join-
applications. If you join the
if
Discord
you give us a
server,
big subscribe and give us a boost in our Discord server as well.
That'll definitely boost your odds in getting mod.
Yeah. Wow. 1 hour and 30. Feels like we've been at that mark for a while. I don't know.
yes, hasn't it?
It's weird.
Felt like we were stuck at like 55 minutes forever for me.
Really. I feel like when we hit the 1 hour mark, it just kind of stuck.
Oh my god, Arson, that's you. Of course it's you.
Anyway.
God, of course. God.
Actually,
Anyway.
wow, 4th of July is coming up. I already hear the fireworks. Good thing that I'm on a sleeping schedule where I stay at past 12, so they're not going to be bothering me while I'm sleeping. Unless they're launching fireworks at 5 a.m. in the morning. That's a different issue. But
But what are you doing for the 4th of July? I guess we can take a little bit of a break. We've been talking philosophy for the past hour.
so usually I hang out with my buddy Jason. And we usually launch fireworks in his neighborhood on the 4th, but I'm pretty sure they're busy. I don't remember what they said, but I might be going there on the 9th. But for the 4th of July goes on for like a month. So like 2 weeks before it starts and 2 weeks after it starts, you know? Kind of like Christmas. But I mean, at least how my neighborhood or any neighborhood I've ever lived in, you hear fireworks like 2 weeks before 4th of July starts. It's crazy.
Either that or you always hear fireworks after 4th of July.
Yeah, that too. Well, it's because people can't make it.
Your birthday's on the 4th? Oh, well, congratulations. Happy 4th of July early birthday. What? Who's swearing? Oh.
We swear, it's fine.
Yeah.
Imagine we have like a podcast and you bleep out every single curse word we say. I'd be a
Should I
lot
do that?
of work. No.
Should I do that one day? Should I do that one day? April Fools.
April Fools. I feel like our April Fools won't be too long though.
Do not tell me I just jinxed myself. I'm pretty sure I just heard fireworks.
Yeah, I'm hearing fireworks. That's why I started mentioning it.
I think I just heard one.
Yeah.
Go off. No, from your mic.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I can't do anything about that. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But what was it? You know, another thing with I guess this went along with the topic of fireworks, but triggers is a word I'm starting to see a lot more on the internet. And
yeah,
though some might seem dumb to others and stuff like that, or like trauma is that word has been a lot more prevalent as time went on. It's kind of crazy. But it's how extreme like perspectives can get to people for some reason. I don't know, like, but that word's been coming up a lot more prevalent, and I know so many people have different perspectives on that word.
A
It's
lot of people have different perspectives
yeah.
on that word.
And another one is the what was it? The neopronouns, but that's not something we'll get into. But the triggers we can.
Yeah, the triggers is like, well, I mean, we have to leave it pretty open.
Yeah, but it's a way to like kind of define how much like how different experiences could really like interact with like people, you know?
And
Um
how much just like one experience can literally shape someone into
yeah.
someone new.
And that's another point. And I'm not going to throw that out. How Cakes just said there's a certain point where people just fake it. And that's not entirely out of the question either, right? And you can't go, "Oh, this person's faking it, this person's faking it." You don't know. You just straight up don't know. So you're going to have to give them the benefit of the doubt whether you like it or not. But that was another thing. What was it? Like Munchausen syndrome, right? And we've talked about this on I think it was an illusion of disorders as well. Where someone can develop this like certain like disorder with just believing hard enough, right? You can develop a quote unquote trigger or a trauma if you really believe hard enough, because what that experience is, what a trauma is, in a lot of these disorders that pop up is trauma based disorders if you really like think about it, right? Like
Mhm.
depression can be bipolar, um uh you know what was it, sorry, DID, right? And the other personality disorders that are now showing up. A lot of that is experience based and trauma based. And what you have to realize is that you might not agree with like, oh, this person is taking it or whatever, right? But you have to realize what trauma is how severely a certain situation impacted someone, right? So if they truly believe and they go, this experience really impacted me, the line between, or the gray area between them faking it or not starts to become really blurry. Because if you fake it enough and you truly believe that this happened and this is like what I have, you will gain that disorder. And it's unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah.
So, and I'm, I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but it's a reality I guess some people have to face, and that's a hump that I had to get over, because I used to be like, oh, these people are just being dramatic, but it's a thing, it's a true thing, and that's how much experience can really shape people, and
Yeah.
and especially how much extrospectives can shape people, because if you've noticed, um at least like just looking at documentations, at least these like disorders and stuff like that are rising in rapid rates, right? And it could be from a multitude of reasons. A lot of people blame the internet, but a reason for that is the very first point, or like one of the first points I brought up in this podcast. You are your friends. You are the people you choose to hang out with. You are the people that you've been involved with, right? So if you see all
Mm.
of these things pop up, right, they start to make sense to you, right? So and if people start to talk about like this certain experience or whatever, maybe that starts to impact you more, and your brain goes, "Hey, we should think about this more," or like this is going to impact you, and it might become traumatic. And it just kind of blows up. Um,
Wow.
Negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with if you think about your, sorry, I'll just read this out for like the YouTube viewers that aren't watching. What Cakes just said in the chat, which shapes people more, negative or positive experiences? Personally, I think negative. Yeah, definitely both can be taken into consideration. But if you think about like your early childhood thoughts, most of them, like your very young, like the first memories you've ever had, a lot of them are those similar to fight or flight responses. You know,
Yeah.
things that are scary and terrifying, because that is what is the most ingrained in your brain for, survival reasons, right? And that's what trumps like 99% of all of the things you remember, and all of that is survival, right? And for good reason, because if you weren't alive, then you can't experience any of these things, right? But a lot of these things that you remember as a child are um, mainly just whatever is more emotionally involved, right? I think I was talking to a psychologist about this, right? And a lot of it can be traumatic or negative, but what the baseline it comes down to is the more emotionally that impacted you at the time, the more you remember it, right? Um, EQ. I guess. But definitely negative is a big one because of the flight or fight response. I'd probably have to agree with the negative, but both can be just as valid, just solely because of the idea of whatever most emotionally impacts you is the most memorable. You know?
Yeah. Now, I really don't think, and I mean, granted, I've stood by this for a really long time, that neither of them are necessarily, or it should necessarily be taken in the sense of which is better to take away,
Mm-hmm.
because you need to take away both.
Oh yeah,
Like, you need to be able to think of both. And I think a lot of people forget that it's okay to take away both.
yeah,
And because they'll be like, oh, I only need to take away this one, 'cause this one is the one that's important, or this one is the one that's going to help shape me to be the person I am. When both of those, and including the boring, and I'm going to deem them as the boring
oh yeah. No, definitely.
experiences. The boring experiences are going to shape you to figure out what those boring experiences are, because you're going to feel like you are one of accomplished, or you have accomplished. You are going to feel a negative emotion from being either bored, or you're going to feel a positive emotion from being bored, because you're not being in a negative sense. There are so many different variables that can be applied to just those three, and without those three, you're not going to become who you are. And learning from other people which ones they deem are important or more important, or that deem, or that they understand that those three are the most important in developing as a person, is a useful information to know, from not only yourself but from other people, because you can then judge yourself whether or not you agree.
Yeah, I with whole like if negative experiences shape people negatively, it goes both ways. You see terrible people with because of their terrible backstories or whatever, and you see amazing people because of their terrible like backstories or whatever. You know, it goes both ways, and it just all it comes down to is your perspective. That's it. Perspective shapes you.
Yeah.
Um,
But Cakes just mentioned another one. But that begs the question: does
that's what it was
negative
going to, Dom.
expressions only lead to negative, or only lead, or experiences only lead to negative shaping, or negatively shaping a person, or is it like a light in the dark, and the dark in the light type of situation?
Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. It's both.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
just,
I'm gonna be on push to talk because of the fireworks. I'm sorry.
yeah, fair enough. Um, I don't know. It is both in every sense of both. It is it's not black and white, but it's also not the gray area that comes with those. So, what if perhaps it is never going to be black and white, and it's never going to be gray?
Oh, that's what I was gonna mention earlier. Yesterday, that's what yesterday was about for me. I was bored out of my mind, right? And I sat down. Oh God, these fireworks! I sat down and I laid on my floor for a moment of contemplation before I went to bed, and I came to the conclusion that yeah, boredom is necessary. Whenever you see one of the most creative things come out of a person is when they are the most bored. You know,
Mm-hmm.
boredom shapes a lot of things. A lot of catastrophes happen from boredom. That that's definitely a prominent one. Like when you see people just going out raging on the internet, it's because they're bored. They have like, you know, they need to feed their mind something, and that's an emotional response, right? And they're like, good, let's just give me something, anything, right? But a lot of good ideas start from boredom and passion projects too, right? Here comes the podcast. You know, funnily enough, like in a lot of big companies, you know, people start mentioning. I saw this like thing. It was like meme template on the internet of like it was just a pictures of a bunch of random garages. Is like here's where all these famous companies started, like Microsoft and like Apple or whatever. And they're like, why can't you start like this? Because saying that people live in more than garages. And someone commented, I don't have a garage. But
I
yeah,
mean, some of them just simply aren't bored.
yeah.
What if that's the crazy part? Is that you just maybe you just have a really interesting life, and who knows? Maybe that's all you want. No one can define your accomplishments and where you are now besides yourself. Go figure. I feel like that's common knowledge. Well, I don't think really quick side tangent. I don't think that's going to be used anymore. That phrase, it's common knowledge. I really don't feel that that's going to be something that is
Well,
commonly
do you?
used.
I feel like no matter what generation, everyone likes making fun of other people for being dumb.
Yeah.
That has to be a phrase like, "Oh, it's common sense, dude."
I don't know. Do you think that common sense is becoming less common, or do you feel like it's right where it is usually?
Why do you? Okay, why do you think it's becoming less common?
I don't know. It's because like it's because when I would mention certain things, they seem to be like needed to be delved into,
Hmm.
as in like a common viewpoint.
You know what that is?
Hmm.
It's not that common sense is going away. It's that I mean you've never had an experience before in your lifetime, right? So I'd assume what that is common sense constantly shifts. What is the need to know basis and the most common fundamental that everyone needs to have shifts throughout generation because our needs become different. So it's not that it's going away, it's just becoming different. They might know something that's common to them that you don't.
Yeah. The I guess I keep forgetting that normality never stays normal. Normality is old. Or our normality is old and the new normality is normal. And it'll stay that way for a little while until the new generation
And you know what?
appears.
That's the same reason back to the parenting thing of like when a child is growing up in a generation and they are expected to have like this common sense kind of thing that the other people around them are growing up with. Well, their parents had grown up with a different kind of common sense. So when
Mhm.
talking to your kids can become conflicting. And I guess it's more prominent well because when you teach your kids you kind of teach them the common sense, right? So I guess it's less conflict between the parents, but most of the conflict comes between the kids and the grandparents because that's a generation, like two generations apart, right? It's a
Ooh,
completely skip.
yeah.
Like what is the grandparent to the parent is the shift, like is like a blend, right? And the parent to the kid is the blend. But from a grandparent to a kid is a complete shift of common sense basis. Boom.
Ooh, shit.
Let's go
Yeah, I
find
heard that
boom.
one. That shit's deep.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. But I don't know. I that is something I usually do forget, or I tend to forget at least, is that common sense is not it's common. Common sense is here, but it's not common to us. It will eventually become common, but I feel like as long as, especially for myself, and I'm hoping that other people will take this, is that they'll find this new common, what was once a rarity that will eventually become common, we can find normal. We will have to learn to adapt to a new normality and learn that what we thought was either taboo or rare is now just a common occurrence that you will see in a day-to-day basis. I mean, biggest example is I bet you here in the future, or here shortly, in a couple of years, a lot of VR and online taboos that many people really do not speak of outside of virtual reality or on the internet will eventually become common. And I think that as long as
Oh my
people
god.
like me and you and others like us will understand and learn how to adapt to these new commons and are able to adapt to them.
But you know what? That's another point that kind of disproves the common senses being taken away is that's evidence to how common sense shifts. That's why so many people hold above their heads, look, I'm a veteran, or you guys are newbies, because they've gone through a complete experience shifts. Like, remember the old days, right? That's the exact reason for that phrase. You
Yeah.
know?
Pa pa pa. Boom ba boom
If anyone's
boom.
sensitive to fireworks, that's tough. I'm sorry.
That's tough.
Yeah, well, at least it's their mic and it's fairly quiet.
Yeah.
Well, the old days never exist in the present. It's not the old days are gone; they're always gone. They never have been, you know. But
God, I remember I had learned and I had mentioned this back when COVID had just began. I had questioned what the new normal was going to be.
yeah,
Because what
yeah,
we had deemed
definitely,
normal was going to school every single day, not having to wear masks. We didn't have backpacks that we could use like in class.
really, yeah,
Yeah, and here we are now, and we are not, it's a very loose mandate, but we are basically told that we need to have clear or mesh backpacks and we can
why?
carry them throughout our school days because this was during the whole
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I
you
feel like
know
the
what I'm
fireworks had completely, finished off your sentence. Um,
oh well
that's funny.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Point proven, point proven.
Yeah, but
But
no, I don't know. I remember though. I think my middle school didn't allow backpacks at all because it like cluttered up like the classroom, which is kind of annoying. So we had to carry everything, which
yeah, we had to
was
do that for a
it's
while.
so annoying. Like, you have like every folder for every class constantly on you all the time, you know,
See,
and your two books as well.
yeah. There was two reasons why. One, because of the fireworks, as we'll put it.
Yeah.
And two, because of COVID, we could not get to our lockers. We couldn't have
Oh,
a
really?
lot of people, and they were like, "Okay, so because of COVID, you are no longer able to use
Oh, we
your
don't use lockers in
lockers.
our school. We just use backpacks.
So where do you put your backpacks?"
We always have them on us.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, now they say you have to have a mesh backpack, and I think they're getting pretty loose on that though. Now they're
Yeah.
like, you're not supposed to have one, and they're just like, well, I have it with me. What do I do? And they're like,
Yeah.
just I don't know. And then we go on with our day.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean that right there, that was something that I'd call. I was like, what do you think the new normality is going to be? And they were like, don't know until we're going to be experiencing the new norm.
Yeah. No,
And we
that
won't
was a lot of like people's idea.
we won't know when the new normal is normal until that normal is different from what we had previously noticed. It's just like common sense. I mean, I sound like a boomer whenever I say like, "Oh, common sense is going down the drain," when in fact it's just common sense is changing to develop towards the newer generations common. And so I'm not noticing it because I'm slowly being adapted to this change and I'm only recognizing it now that there's
Yeah.
something different
The built
prior
on
to what
experience, you know?
I
So
mean,
weird.
and the fact that I mean honestly I did not realize it until you had mentioned it that I I had known there was something different because I had noticed there was a change in what I had deemed as common sense. So I clearly knew that something was different, but I personally didn't notice it until literally now.
You know, the weird thing is like the way common sense shifts is also a weird thing because throughout generation, when you're born, your parents teach you, or whatever, your guardian, whatever you grew up with, the people that surrounded you taught you what common sense was at that era, right? And that's what you start off with. But slowly over time, that like the new generation being born is taught a different type of common sense. But it's not like it's entirely different from what you learned. It might be like a different, like kind of like a different variant of it, right? But what ends up happening is it still adds on to your common sense. You still get to learn what they're experiencing because, information is shared, right? So that common sense is built on top of yours. So all of these meshes between generations of common sense is just built onto yours. And you just understand all of it as common sense, right? But like little bits of common sense before of like when you were born might have been lost throughout the next generation, right? And then it's not that it's like just been entirely lost, it's shifted, right? But all of the meshes and all of the variants that has existed during your time is just all considered one big common sense to you.
Yeah.
It's just to build off of it.
And with that all said and done, no, I'm kidding. We aren't ending it yet, but we definitely are getting closer to our 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
I'm reading chat here. All of you, what is going? Never mind. I'm not gonna question it. Anyway, there's a lot that I really want people to understand that I feel like a lot of people just aren't going to. And I feel like they will eventually. It's just at the current moment that where we are in society and where we are in today's generational awareness. Um, that we are all going to adapt. And I feel like that should be taught early on. I found a new parenting thing that I'm going to want to do whenever I have kids.
What?
Is I want to teach my kids that common sense is not going to stay common.
Write that down. Write that down.
Write that down. Write that down. But
I'm gonna kids list.
Yeah, wait.
Just a notes page for what you want to teach your kids.
Yeah, TMMP kids page. That doesn't sound that great.
What do you mean?
Parenting tips.
Parenting tips 101.
Parenting tips 101.
We should create a parenting tips book. We should publish that.
God, it should just be an archive.
Tips. But honestly though, a parenting tips book from kids is probably one of the best pointers for that generation of parents.
Wow, yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
Coin that. Trademark that. Copyright it. Come on, hurry up.
Jesus.
But
well, I'm not gonna do it. I'm too lazy to. So if anyone else wants to take that idea, go ahead. You see all these like millionaire kids on YouTube or whatever. That's what they should start doing. Like any philosopher rich kids should really just invest in creating books for parents, because that'll really improve on the next generation. And maybe all the good parts of like what you've learned from parenting skills could be passed on to other parents, so maybe their kids can grow up like just as good as you, because clearly you have it all.
But I want to teach my kids that normal will not be normal. Normal is always changing, and you are going to eventually adapt to that. And the fact that you will change with that normal and become normal with it. And what I teach you now, and what I will teach you as you grow up and whatnot, is going to change because the world is always changing. I feel like that's very important to teach kids. Is that you can teach them what you find normal. You can teach them just like what you grew up with and what you deem is good and all that stuff. But if you can teach them that the world is changing, and so will not only your views, but your kids' views, they will grow up to be great kids. They'll grow up
so weird
to be adaptable. To what needs to be an adaptable world.
Like one of the main points of like having kids is to pass on your information to the next generation. But like the passing of information is so interesting because all of the different ways it's done creates different viewpoints, which creates new viewpoints within itself. So just passing on your information to the next generation creates new information,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy, you know?
See, my kids are gonna hate me. I've already called it because
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what my dad did, and I'm just gonna talk for hours.
Yeah.
Because what me and my dad would do is like, is just go on. We would just drive around town, whatever. And we would just shoot the shit and just talk. And this is I've mentioned this before. I know I have.
Mm.
Is that I feel like growing up for me personally was instead of just listening to him talk, it was understanding what he was saying and talking with him.
That's a big challenge, honestly.
It is the,
And it's because of the lack of experience compared to his, you know?
but that's the thing. Once I was able to start like adding to his stuff or like adding to his conversations and adding my own views, that's a sign of development. That's a sign of you growing as a person because you're able to develop your own views. So you can definitely see that there's they're growing up, and that's what I want to see. I want to see my child grow up, and hopefully, I can have that experience with my child. If
Yeah.
it doesn't happen, that's fine. But it would be nice to see because I would know that my child is growing.
Random thing. I've like if you completely like rest your foot and like let your muscles sit like rest your foot on your knee or like your right leg over your left knee, right? And just like not like crossing your legs but having your ankle rest on your left knee, right? And have your right foot completely rested, right? And just like you're able to just kind of like wiggle the joint. I don't know. I find that so weird.
I can tell.
Like you,
I can tell you've been thinking about that while I was talking.
yeah, you're able to
I
know.
can.
You're able to like rotate the entire joint, and you can really figure out like how your foot like moves.
Oh yeah, my dad. That's how my step. No, that's how my stepdad is. He learned how to like pop his shoulder out of place
Yeah.
because he'll
Yep.
just be sitting there and he'll just like he's like moving around his muscles and he's like, oh wait, this one does this and just and all I heard was just I was like, what was that? And he goes, oh, I just learned that I can pop my muscle, I can pop my joint out of place. And I hear,
Yeah.
and I'm like, stop!
Yeah, no, I'm totally that guy. I do that with my thumb. I was screwing around
Oh yeah.
with my fingers, right? And I was just screwing around with my fingers and like me and my friends used to do this thing where we put like our thumb like over our like pointer finger joint or the little ball, the knuckle, right? And then I
Yeah.
realized and I was like, "Oh, if you turn it off, it just goes and it just pops out of place." So I can turn my thumb backwards. Like
Ooh.
completely out of place. So
Yeah, God, it's so fun.
anyway,
And with that,
yeah.
I feel like we have definitely gone on a very good journey today. It has been a great podcast.
It's been an emotional ride.
It has definitely been an emotional ride. We've talked about parenting. We've talked about how learning as a person is extremely interesting and
Mhm.
all that. And I hope a lot of people, or at least just one person, can
People,
take
period.
away. Yeah, people. Period can just take away something new. Something that they may not have thought before. That is literally the whole reason I wanted this podcast to be a thing. And here we are, and I've got probably the only and best person that I could have ever have asked for to join me on this journey of philosophy and learning as a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't ask for anything more.
That's
And I I hope everybody has enjoyed this journey.
anyway. Happy birthday, America.
Yeah, happy birthday, America. This might actually be posted on the 4th of July, now that I'm thinking about it.
Actually, it might.
So, if it is, happy 4th of July!
Yeah.
Yippee! I hope you guys get philosophical on the 4th of July. You know, you're shooting out fireworks and your eyes are like your mouth is agape and you're like sitting back in your chairs. You're just like,
Your cup of milk in hand.
whoa, yeah, a cup of milk like about to fall out. You're just like in awe, you know?
Wow, like the aliens from Toy Story.
Yeah. Whoa. Who knows? Maybe that'll happen on the 4th of July. But yes, do you have any closing statements before we
No,
go?
I just keep screwing with my foot joint.
Fair enough. Yeah. If we have anything else to say besides learning how to develop as a person, we definitely suggest you just like relax like certain parts of your muscles and learn
God, your
what.
knee just like. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, my queen.
God damn it.
But oh, that was a big firework. No, stop with the strawberry milk. No, stop.
Okay, can you end it now, please?
I'm about to. But yes, I thank you all for joining us on tonight's Midnight Milk Ride. We are definitely going to be stocking our fridges full of the bountiful amounts of
I mean, like,
normal
relax your knee.
milk.
You know, like how like heavy your calf is, dude.
Yeah.
Like the lower part of your leg, it's heavy. I don't know if that's the muscles or just because like genuine weight. I'm gonna pop something. Hold on, stop. I need to stop. Go on.
Cakes, stop. God,
Oh, you're gonna have to blur all that out. Have fun.
we're going to ban you. But anyway, before we go, I mentioned this earlier, but we definitely do suggest you go down into the description below, down for our YouTube viewers. If you guys are for some reason, if this is on your second monitor, if you got it on your phone, if you've been looking at the chat whatsoever, you can see the bountiful amounts of bullshittery that go on thanks to Cakes and Mewtwo here. We do need mods. We are looking for mods. So join our Discord server. And if you're active and you know we like you enough, we might make you a mod. Who knows? So yeah, we definitely hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah.
You are not getting mod cakes.
Follow, subscribe, join our Discord server, and I recommend hitting that one little point on your knee like the doctor does to make your leg go out. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that shit makes it feel weird.
Yeah.
But with all that out of the way, I hope you guys have all enjoyed tonight's Midnight Milk Ride, and we will catch you all on the flip side.